Hello and welcome to round 9 of the HSO 1971 Championship. Coming to you tonight from Monza in Italy for Gran Premio d'Italia. And with me in the booth tonight for this show is Alberto Ibañez. Good evening, Alberto.
Good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here and expecting a very competitive, interesting race tonight.
Fairly sure we'll be getting that, because it's been looking fairly close in the qualifying times. So I'm looking at that in the background, but we also have a very close fight in the championship as well. If I can get it on. Well, actually, let's look at the track first very quickly, which is the way Monza has looked for 70 odd years now, I believe. But it's a 3.53 mile road course, and we'll be racing for about 55 laps, which equals to just over 196.5 miles. So nearly a 200-mile race.
Hey, wake up.
As qualifying just finished.
And in the last minute, Richard Coxon was able to snatch the pole away from Pascal Mikula.
Huh. That's very impressive indeed.
We got the two Tyrrells in the front line. And while they have very powerful Cosworth engines, I was certainly expecting the Ferraris to do a better show here today. We have Michal Janak in 5th position, racing in the home track of his team, Ferrari. But also, they have the most powerful engine by far in the grid. So I was really expecting them to be quite more in the front, because this is a very fast track with sweeping turns that go, well, that are very dangerous, go mostly in right direction. And well, this is going to be a bit of a slipstream war, and the cars, as the most observant users will maybe have noticed, the cars are down in the wings, because many, as historically happened in 71, show here that they have much smaller wings, so that there is less wind resistance and they can go even quicker. So this is going to be a very high-speed race with high average, and any small error is going to be very dangerous here, because even if the track is so quick, it is also surrounded by very unforgiving armco walls.
Of course, everyone will be very close together as well, considering it's very much a slipstream track with all the long straights. I believe this particular year was the closest finish that Monza had ever seen, unless I'm very much mistaken. But also in the background, so it still seems the engines is a little bit loud. So give me a moment while I try to sort that out. But in the points, we have I don't understand how the sound ultimate lister works, but let's do that on that one. That's the beauty of not having used Ultimate Blister's broadcast, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. But anyway, in the points we have an equal first with Richard Coxon and Grant Goodall, the former teammates, now in different teams. Richard, of course, in the Tyrrell, and Grant in the I actually don't remember which car he's in. He's in the Surtees, of course, the team he started out with, while Coxon has joined Tyrrell after I couldn't handle that car. Third in the points is Austin Johnson, who I'm not sure will be here tonight, because he's been experiencing some issues with the wings on his car. Fourth in the points is Yves Placé, who's on 16, 4 points behind Austin. But if he can get that Matra engine to last the distance, I'm fairly sure he'll climb up the standings just a little bit. And Peter Lavac lines up 5th in the championship, and I believe he's in one of the McLarens, doing a very good job in that car.
Yeah, the championship race is, as of today, much a race between Grant Riddle and Richard Coxon. Richard has the upper hand here because of the powerful engine in his Tyrrell, whereas Grant Riddle is running a less powerful version of the Cosworth. But still, this is a very long race. As I said, very unforgiving walls. The lapped cars may also play a role, because any misunderstanding when lapping them can cost you dearly. Even if it's not abandoning, you might suffer damage or even be held up for quite a long time. So I would not give this victory already to Richard, even if he has on paper probably some of the best options. Remember also that Pascal Mikula is in top form as of now. He has matured a lot as driver. He has always been very quick, but now he is also being very, very consistent, as he showed winning the Riverside race in the Can-Am series. So it's going to be certainly not easy for Richard Coxon to get away with this race easily.
No, certainly not. And also in the championship standings, if we look at the constructors for a moment, we can see that Surtees, with Richard and Grant racing for them earlier, they are very easily up in the lead on 44 points. A whopping 15 points ahead of March, who's in second. No thanks to me, since I've crashed more races than I finished in the F1 Championship this year, unfortunately. Third for McLaren on 21 points, and then it's an equal fourth for 3 teams, those being BRM, Matra and Tyrrell. And most of the Tyrrell points, I believe, has come since Richard Coxon joined the lively cars, so to speak. As I can see in the background here, a bit of drafting going on down the back straight. So let's get that up on your screen so you can see it as well. Oops, there we go.
And from the technical point of view, we should also mention, besides the fact that we have cars with wing modification here, we have also on track the very famous Turbine car, the Lotus Turbine car that had an helicopter engine. This was the car that Emerson Fittipaldi raced here, if I remember correctly. And is now in the hands of our own co-admin Juha Boss.
We can hear that it's very quiet indeed. He was talking about that car and saying that it's very quick in a straight line, but it doesn't stop and it doesn't turn.
It's a very peculiar car. 4-wheel drive, so it has beautiful traction, lots of power with that helicopter turbine, but unfortunately it doesn't have any gears. It's continuously working in the same gears. It's like driving an automatic car, only that it doesn't even shift. Probably a kart, one of the small karts that you see in those small circuits that are all around in the big cities. This is the kind of driving that you can expect from this car, except that it's all-wheel drive and much heavier. But because of that, it also, as you have said, well, doesn't brake at all. So, bit of advantage for him in straight line speed, but everything is then lost in the turns, coming into the turns and then also going to them.
It's been also, like 1 step forward, 2 steps back in terms of the turning.
It results in a very annoying driving, because you are not in the same pace as the other cars. I mean, when you're driving a car that is slightly slower or slightly quicker in the straights, so to speak, for example, or in the turns, then what happens is that you catch up a bit, then you go back a bit, depending on the part of the track. But in this case, it's a huge difference. I mean, you can probably rocket by many of the other cars in the straights, and then all of a sudden you find them all like diving completely on you when you're coming to the turns. This is a car that the only race that it won in real life where it really dominated and was very impressive to see was in the wet, because obviously with the four-wheel drive there you have a big advantage.
Oh, of course. Although I'd say winning there would be more a question of holding on to that car still. To be perfectly fair.
Also, when in the standing starts, the four-wheel drive is a bit of an advantage, even if the car is so heavyweight. But we'll see.
Just to let the chat know, I tried to sort the any sound out, so I hope it's a little bit better. And to answer that question, what is your favorite car in the mod? I'd say that's the March. The very March that I drive, the Works 711 March.
Yeah, if I had to drive one, then probably the one that has a behavior that is more to my liking, it would be that. It's a very easy car to drive. And if I had to choose one from the aesthetics point of view, well, then probably the Ferrari would be the car to choose. Very nice looking.
Indeed.
And if not, then the Lotus also. The Lotus 71 is a fine car.
I'll say if it's engine sound, I'd probably go for the Matra. Just unfortunate that it's such a difficult car to drive. I know I drove it during pre-season testing in a quick sweeper at Imola. The old first turn, I couldn't even go through there in 5th gear without spinning. So it has a lot of power.
It certainly has. I see lots of crashes here in the practice. It's true that the drivers are trying to find the limits, but still this is going to be a race where we are going to see, I'm afraid, many cars that end against the wall.
Indeed, but let's have a ride on board here with David, looking at the track. That's Curva Grande, first turn. And this is Curva di Roggia, this left kink into lesson 1 and 2. Where he almost understeers into the wall and then gets too much power on as well. Okay, so that's unfortunately his attempt over. Sorry about that. The time is almost over, so we'll take a moment later on. Let's see, here we have when Yannick has just gone past that point. Goes through Curva di Serraglia and then Vialone right here. This long sweeping left onto the back straight. And then, as it's always been, we have a Parabolica coming up. Very tight right-hander that opens for a very long time, as he doesn't complete it, but I think almost all of us watching this will know how Parabolica looks, considering how long this track has been around.
Yeah, Monza is, I think, one of the oldest permanent circuits in Italy. It was built there in the wealthy north of the country, where they also had all the automobile industry. It's very close to Milan. I mean, everybody knows it as obviously Autodromo di Monza, because that's where it lies closest to. But in fact, it's Milan's home track. Also, of course, the one that is just to where Ferrari has its back. Also Maserati, Lamborghini, all the big manufacturers are up there. I mean, from sports cars, of course, Fiat is in Turin. But this is obviously a track that has, well, that gets the most attention in Italy, and where the tifosi are always more present and always more, to start, and always more enthused about the track where everybody wants to see the Ferraris win.
course.
Okay.
It's here in Imola, isn't it? Okay, so we have the...
San Marino.
Oh, of course, yeah. As we have...
Yeah, they go there, but everybody wants to see the win here.
Certainly. As we have Richard Coxon on pole, as Alberto mentioned earlier. Second on the grid is his teammate for this round, Pascal Mikla. I'm not sure Pascal drives that full time now or not. But anyway, he's in the second Tyrrell. Third on the grid is David Yates, who unfortunately had his snowplow fall on his foot, so he's working with a bit of extra curriculus to make the throttle work for him. Fourth on the grid will be Grant Vidal, our championship contender. Fifth will be Michal Janak in the first of the Ferraris, and sixth will be Martin Lasina in the Ronnie Peterson March. Let's hope he can put on a good show. Seventh will be Richard Wilkes in the Team Lotus number 3. Reine Wiesel. Oh, I didn't know he drove for Lotus, but there we go. Eighth will be Steve Parker in the BRM. Ninth, David Junt in the March, and rounding out the top 10 is David Sabre in the first of the Matras. 11th will be Ray Riddell in the BRM, with Lavage 12th in the McLaren. 13th for Yves Placé in the second Matra. 14th will be Gerard Rion in one of the Ferraris. 15th for Thiago Canola in the second Surtees. 16th for Brian Yannick in the Brabham. 17th for Mick Chapman in the third Surtees. 18th will be Timo Vermeersch in the last of the 3 Ferraris, with 18th Jason Whiten in the March. 20th for Mark Craggs in the McLaren, with 21st for Johan Boss in that Team Lotus turbine car. 22nd for Bruno Chacon in the Brabham. 23rd for Dave Miller in the Frank Williams Racing car. I believe that's a 701 March. 24th for Jason White in the third of the BRMs, and 25th for Jason Fitch in the second of the March Frank Williams cars. And rounding out the grid is Simon Wattman in the Jolly Club Switzerland entered car, which I believe is a Belasi chassis, unless I'm very much mistaken.
It is. It's the only race it took part this year, the car from Silvio Moser, but it was a regular in other years. In this case, the car was stripped from the wings so that it could be a bit quicker in the straights, and that's about it. That and Silvio Moser's currents were its only weapons. So everybody's lining up here in this historic grid, and they are about to get the start from the flagman.
Yep. Let's see what happens here. Sounds like everyone. Yep, lights are on.
It's about
and the flag is on. The flag is go. The flag is go. The race is underway. Oh, and Richard has a horrendous start. That's
unlike David Junt, who made nice move, though Richard Wilkes almost pushed him. Oh dear, he's very boxed there. It's very narrow there. Grant Riddle, Richard Wilkes, David Junt.
Looks like
this is still the old Monza. Very open turns. And this is not so dangerous in the starts as the modern one with the chicanes. So of course, to settle for a position now.
Let's see, looking back from Nicolas Carr.
Yes, nobody has suffered any problem yet.
Looks like everyone is very well behaved here, but I can't see any March cars. They've dropped back quite a bit, all of them, unfortunately.
But David Junt did a very good start. I'm not sure if...
Oh no, he's still there. That's me being a bit... Oh, and as Richard Coxon goes for a lead, Mikola looking up the inside into Parabolica. You don't want to take your teammate out, as David Yates tries to hang on as well. So you can see a few of the cars sliding about, getting on the throttle coming out of Parabolica.
Delicate moment with the tires still cold and the fuel tank completely full.
As we can see here, Coxon still in the lead, but very closely pursued. Okay, now I know why the sound is so loud.
Parker has had a bit of a moment and lost many positions. This is a track where the high speed means that you need momentum. So if for whatever reason you veer off a bit, it's very easy to lose 10-15 positions. Steve has damage because he's going very slowly. Maybe he hasn't been able to pick up speed yet. And it's just that, but he has lost really many positions.
I believe he's down to, what is that, 20th?
19th is the moment. He just overtook Dave Miller back. No, the car seems to be in good shape. It was just...
He's coming around outside now though, with a bit of a draft from the car in front.
Yes.
Oh, and here comes one of the 30s behind as well, trying to use... Oh, someone spins off in the front. I believe that was... Well, that's Juha Bors, unfortunately, in the turbine car. Oh, Jason Whited, I believe, is following him.
Yes. Both of them are in the grass, but I think fortunately for them there is no barrier at this point. I mean, if there is a place in the track to do that and survive, it's probably this one.
Well, certainly. That's very sporting from Juha to...
the gravel trap. There's where the all-wheel drive will come handy.
Yep. That's...
And on the top, David Jacks is now in second position, right behind Richard Coxon. And I believe that, considering the small difference they had between them, the top three, they were in the same second, and considering the slipstream effect that is here, very important, you will not see anybody escaping so easily.
Certainly not, but here comes... David definitely has a lot of top speed, but he's on the outside. Let's see if he can use the draft now down the back straight. He's definitely picking up some speed. Looking for the inside, can't make it, stays behind. David's a very...
Richard is there protecting the inside.
Yeah, who runs a little bit wide, but Pascal can't make any use of it. You can see Richard Wilkes right behind him, so he's had a good start as well up before. That's nice to see after... I know he has struggled a little bit in the previous rounds.
Ah, there he goes. He's going past me.
He does indeed. When here comes David thinking about it into Curva Grande, but decides against it. I believe as long as David's foot holds up, he'll definitely be up here for the rest of the race.
No, David and Martin Lasina, two teammates that are having a very big fight there. Martin, as we know, probably the latest breaker in the league, and he was side by side going with David Jones in the previous time. Now a bit back, but I'm sure not for a long time.
It looks like David has a bit of a run on, as someone is off on the inside.
Brian Janik and Michel Janik. Michel just went past Brian Janik using Ferrari power, but it was really tight. He had to use Vaseline to squeeze through there.
Oh dear me.
Brian is returning him the favor.
I believe that was Simon Wattman off on the left in Parabolica. I saw a car off, looked like the Velasi.
Yes, Simon Wortman is off the track. I'm not sure if the car is damaged or not. Likely not, and he's trying to return. Yes. Yes, he's back. The car seems... No, he hasn't gone into the pits. There is probably then no damage to speak of. And David Jacks has been able to pass Richard Coxon. We have missed that.
I think we saw it in the background or foreground. We just went very close to it, but I believe it was down the front straight.
Got it in the replay, and it was a very great move. But he did that in that very quick turn.
Look here, it looks like Richard is on his way up to him again. Notice it was very close between Mikola Wilkes and I believe that's Grant Riddle as well. Grant Riddle going up the inside. Gets by Richard Wilkes. Richard Wilkes now hung out to dry, but as Mikola is up the inside and gets by as well. And here comes... as Richard Wilkes has hit the end of the wall! No!
He hit the wall with the rear left.
Oh, and that's... he's lost the wheel and everything. That's probably unfortunately Richard out of this race. Oh dearie me. That's very unfortunate. Yep, he's unfortunately retired from this race. Don't think he got squeezed out too badly, but it was definitely some contact on the way there.
Yeah, that's a wall that everybody was almost cleansing at the exit of the turn. So this time, either because of the heat of the fight or how he had to position the car to the corner.
Was Mikola and Grant was making contact there. Sorry to cut you off. That looked very hairy indeed. As Richard is now ahead of David Yates as well. Looks like these two should be able to pull away if they just work together. You see everyone spreading out down the straight. That's... oh no! Dearie me! Oh, that was contact between
Grant Riddle.
Yeah, and Pascal Mikola, by the looks of things. Wow, that's not good for Grant in the championship fight. You see, and I can't get a replay in AMS, unfortunately.
I think the other car.
I believe it was Pascal Mikola who the contact was made with. You can see Juha trying to get back up the grid. He's now about 7 seconds by the looks of things behind Mark Craggs, so he's trying to make his way up in a Lotus car. As back at the front is still Coxon and Jakes in the first and second. Then it's now David Saber, amazingly in the Matra in third. Fourth for Pascal Mikola, fifth for David Junt, sixth for Martin Lassina. 7th for Peter Lavac in the McLaren. He's doing a good job in that car around here. It's not the quickest car in the straight line. 8th for Yves Placet, trying to keep up with the leading group. 9th for Diarra Drion as well. He as well trying to keep up with the leading group. And then there's a bit of a gap down to Grant Vidal, who's resumed in 10th amazingly. Though no front.
Nearly collected David Sabre there. He has the pressure from David Junt and Martin Lassina behind him, and he seems to be a bit nervous, suffering with it.
And to be perfectly honest, that Tyrrell is definitely very difficult to drive. So as here comes David Junt up the inside and up into 4th position into Curva Grande. Very nicely done. Ooh, very loose on the throttle. That shows how good a driver David is. I can't do that. Whereas Pascal tries for a late move into Lesmo. Whereas David runs wide as to not get hit and hits the wall on the outside. That's really unfortunate.
Placet miraculously avoids it. I think that this means that David Junt's car has now a bit of damage, at least on the camber of the wheels must have affected.
It's definitely possible. C now goes up the inside of him.
Richard Coxon is still at it. David Jackson is now in front. Richard is making his move now, and whoa! The Tyrrell seems to have lots of power there. Quite amazing that he was able to go past the powerful Beer MV12 that easily.
But he loses out in the Parabolica though. Ran very wide, but I have a feeling that the Tyrrell has a much slipperier car. As we again can see Richard going up the inside on the straight. And up into the lead, as here comes the rest of the pack.
And Pascal Tyrrell has a big dent in the front, which means that he has had some hard contact with another car. Not sure when it happened.
I believe there were a close call as well in Curva Grande between possibly Brian Yannick and Steve Parker. It was very close to one another. But as close as this fight is for the lead, with David right underneath Richard's wing, and we can see that both of them are pulling away from the group behind, so not sure if they meant to meaning to do this, but I would suspect them to be, because they are very clever drivers. As we can see behind that Matter V12 is working very well, keeping away from Pascal Mikula for the time being. Oh, someone! Okay, that was lag. Sorry. Looked like someone was in the wall at the beginning of the front straight, but not the case.
It seems that Richard Coxon is.
Oh no! As David Sabre is out of the race. Ran just a little bit too wide coming out of Curva Grande, hit the grass and the car veered right on him. That's very unfortunate. As Martin Lacina, hits the wall just after he got up in the 4th place. And he loses at least 1 position because of that. Possibly even more. David Junt is in the wall. He was put there by Martin, I believe. That's not quite teammate-like, but I suppose all is fair in love and war, as it was indeed Brian Yannick involved.
In the case of David Sabre, he put the wheel in the grass and then he immediately lost traction and was out on the wall.
Which is down to mainly how the cars are run with very low wings. You have no downforce to save you once you make that tiny little error. Let's see what other drivers we have fighting for positions. We have Bruno Chacon and Jason Whited in a fight here. And Dave Miller not that far behind.
Needs place. Or is it a replay? Sorry. No, it's a play.
Well, we have Yannick and Steve Parker side by side going through Curva de la Roggia and into Lesmo.
Yes. There's Peter Lava gives place and Martin Lacina. Whoa! Martin Lacina just hit the wall there. They are very close together. David Junt was able to overtake thanks to that. Not sure what happened there. But when you are in the slipstream and without wings, it's very probable that the front of the car washes out very easily. And in those long sweeping turns, you veer off the trajectory.
Yes, we had someone off. Doesn't look like it's for positions. That was possibly Simon Watman in the Balassi car again. Yep, it was. Unfortunately, he has fallen off the road again, doing his best to try and finish the race with that lowly Belasi.
Richard Coxon takes the lead again. They're continuously at it, this both.
Of course, but
each other.
Of course, but pulling away from the group behind, so serving them both very, very well indeed. And now it's Pascal Mikla in third, so he's pulled away. Who was Peter Lavac and both of them survive, if only just.
But goes a bit too far there. And Jonatan and Martin Lacina both have hit the wall sideways 2 times already, and their car don't seem damaged.
David Jung was out in the dirty stuff, but Martin let him in. It's now almost 3 wide down the straight, and both the marches backs off. Oh, but Martin takes a position from David Junt.
Yeah, and the braking.
David being a bit too cautious there.
It's a bit here like oval racing. You have so much traffic around. This is not the usual thing you see on a road course.
It's definitely more like the ovals, with all the drafting and pulling past.
You have to pay a lot of attention here, because it's not just fighting the track and being sure that you don't miss your turn entry point, which is the key so as not to glance the wall later, but also pay attention to the traffic, and that's very, very demanding. It's something that will tire and wear you out a lot.
Indeed, as Leeds now goes from I believe 4th to 7th over the span of start finish straight out of Lesma 2. But let's have a moment to listen to that beautiful beat.
He's back in the race without front wing, but
yeah, I noticed Grant was doing his best to catch up, so he's gotten by Adrian. It's impressive to get by Adrian without a front wing.
Quite amazing to see the car there without the front, but we all know that here the wings don't really matter a lot.
Oh, as Peter Lavac has a spin in the Parabolica.
Collecting.
Oh dearie me.
No luck for him today.
Oh, definitely not. He's back down to 11th, make that 12th, make that 13th. And possibly with even more damage now.
He wants obviously to get as many points as possible to keep the championship alive.
Oh, certainly.
It could very well happen that Richard Coxon has a problem and doesn't finish the race. So in this situation, even if it's a single point that he collects, or a 6th position, that'd be golden to him.
Indeed, but now he at least has a drafting partner. Ryan Yannick could have looked up the inside, but stays behind. I suppose it's a savior for Grant that we're at Monza, where the front wing doesn't make that much of a difference as to how the car behaves as such. So we have, unfortunately, Jason White has retired from the race as well, as has Jason Fetch, I believe. And of course Richard Wilkes we saw earlier, as did with David Saber. Let's make our way to the field, see where the battles are. Here we have one between Lavac and the Ferraris.
Yeah. Michel Janak just tried to overtake Peter Lavac. Seems that he's going to make it stick. And the next objective is Gerard Rion, who is riding in another Ferrari.
When he misses a gear.
Yep.
He was both on the grass and missed a gear. That's not a good combination.
So I believe only one of the Ferraris had a still iron rocket here. I must be wrong.
That was a big moment for both Lavach and Rion, but they both survive. As Rion runs deep into Lesmo 1, that can open up an opportunity for Ray in the BRM. Looks like Martin is up into 4th, but the lead is still Richard Coxon and David Yates. And there's a 9-second gap to Pascal Mikla with looks like about 8 seconds down to Martin Lassina and David Junt. Now possibly working together to try and catch up to the cars in front.
And Lavach now behind the Ferrari is suffering a bit because... Oh! There. He released the brakes, he was locking them, released them, and I don't know if he then hit Janak in the rear, but probably, thankfully he did. Now he's following to the clutches of Rion, who probably is going to overtake him here because the Ferrari power should...
Oh, this will be scary.
Oh! Oh, it was late braking there, but Gerard Rion is a very experienced driver and he got it absolutely perfectly. He was able to make a pass.
Peter is definitely one of the drivers I dare to go like that into a corner with.
Now it's again a mountain to climb for Peter Lavach because with the higher powered cars in front it's always so difficult. You need to be waiting for the airport to happen, and he's also sandwiched with between 12-cylinder engines because he has right behind him Ray Riddle, so it's not a comfortable position when you're in the less powerful car in the lot.
Well, certainly not, but it looks like he's mounting a challenge to Gerard once again.
Yeah, I think Gerard made a small mistake and didn't come out of that turn very well.
Late on the brakes is Ray as well, catching up to the guys in front. Now looking to get the power down. A little bit of squirming going on, but he gets a good exit out of the corner.
Richard Coxon goes wide in one of the turns, touches slightly the grass, and David Jacks is again in front. Slightest error by any of those means the other is immediately in front.
Oh, and Martin and David definitely ain't playing the teammate game. Yves Placé is now right behind them as well. Here it's everyone for themselves by the looks of things, but let's get up there. So David Yates, as you mentioned, in front after Richard's mistake.
And it's already 17 laps into the race, which is already quite some, but there has been so much action that those laps have gone by very quickly.
You certainly have. Now notice a bit further behind there's a final between Craggs and Miller by the looks of things, as Lassina and Junt Placé still continue to fight as well. Let's see if we can make our way to that fight between Mark and Dave. Have a look at this for a moment. Between Frank Williams and the McLaren. One of the many years later would be a fight for the win of the championships. But maybe not so much back in '71 where Frank Williams Racing was still a privateer team. You can see that it looks like the McLaren is a slight bit quicker down the straight. You see Jadrio is still behind Peter Lavach, and Michael Janak now is catching up to David Junt and Yves Placé, so those two are squabbled. one way or the other and lost out positions. Or at least time. As now David Jonatan looks like he's on for a challenge down into Parabolica. Decides against it. Possibly going to have a look down into Curva Grande instead then. Here he comes down the straight with a massive toe. Actually backs off, so he wants to use that toe to catch back up to Martin Lassina. Who's of course on his own. You can see what the difference that makes. They've almost already caught up to Martin. Whereas Martin makes a mistake, maybe even hit the wall in less than one. Yep, looks like he's scraping along the wall, so that's a position lost for him. Was US trying to hold on to the car after being lapped. Looks like he had a whole heap of trouble getting that.
David John squeezed again in front of Martin Lassina. That was a very nice pass there on the inside. Martin saw it coming and kept the car in the trajectory very well. Otherwise it could have ended really bad. But that's part of racing. I mean, knowing who you're racing with and who you can trust and who not.
Certainly. You can be sure that you'll have a hard but fair battle if you're against David Jonatan. Martin, of course, is one of our latest breakers, so definitely also someone you can trust to have a good battle with.
Spin. He just wow! He almost hit the wall. Fortunately for him. Yeah, they were coming to Juha Boss, and when maneuvering there, I think. Well, lost the replay, but anyway, he's still there behind Richard Coxon, but I mean, he probably was scared as hell because it was very close to ending the race in the Arco for him.
Yeah, for sure, as Martin Lassina, while we were looking up, has possibly caught up with some damage after that wall scrape and losing out some pace. As here comes his countryman Peter Lavac. These two are of course very good mates, so this should be a good fair fight. Simon Watman is trying to get out of the way in the foreground. Yeah, Adrian not that far behind either in the Ferrari.
This is a critical moment. They're into a lapped car. Simon is making room, but this is one of those things. You're in the slipstream. This is Peter Slavak now. And all of a sudden, if you come out of it and try to overtake and you find all of a sudden a lapped car there, then, well, you're scared as hell. And you might not have time enough for a reaction. I think that's what happened to David Jacks a few moments ago. He was behind Richard Coxon and they came up to Juha Boss.
It's not impossible, and considering how quiet that turbine car is as well. Usually you sort of hear the cars that you have around you, but I'm not sure you would with that turbine.
Peter is really close there all the time. It must be very uncomfortable for Martin Lassina.
As I can see, unfortunately, Steve Parker has retired from the race.
Oh, but
lap or so ago. Who is now up the inside is Peter Lavac. Into Parabolica we go. Martin looking for the cutback, and looks like he'll have it as long as he can get the power down. No, maybe not. Peter is actually quicker off the corner. Here comes the Ferrari as well with all his engine power.
Yeah, fortunately for Martin, he has a bit of a slipstream from Peter Lavak, able to defend himself.
Ooh! Almost a bit of contact.
Yeah. Gerard Brion probably wasn't expecting that.
Possibly. Martin really close to putting it in the wall. When now Gerard up the inside he goes. Oh, a bit of contact. Oh no, that's Martin. Oh, he actually held on to it. Ooh, I thought Martin would put the car on the wall.
Thankfully for him. Gerard must not have been very happy with Martin's maneuver in the previous corner when he changed lanes in the braking area.
Well, possibly. As we can see here, Richard actually is enjoying a little bit of a gap. To David now. Running about half a second off his best.
Yeah, but these two will keep the fight probably to the last lap. It will be interesting to see that.
Certainly.
When they really take out the knives and start going all for it in the last lap, anything can happen. I think that David Jacks is just keeping a respectful position there.
Not sure if it's...
know that he's there, but simply trying to rather wait for the error than forcing his way through.
Richard made a slight mistake there, but went up on the inside, don't know if you'd call it cobblestone or whatever you'd call it, but he went up there, got a wheel spin. Very nearly.
At the same time that David Jacks had missed something in the turn and was a bit sideways, so neither was able to capitalize from the other's error.
Was Richard now runs wide, and here comes David up the inside.
Very nice from David Jacks, using there the slightest error that Richard made, which is also probably a matter of the tuber being so peculiar.
Oh, for sure. As we can see, that gear change is really awkward.
Yeah, and Richard coming out of the slipstream finds a wall of air. I mean, the Cosworth is good enough for being in the slipstream and for hanging on there and getting close, but not really for overtaking.
I think Gerard Rion is unfortunately out of the race. But that's very unfortunate. But I sort of expect, because Richard actually backed off as to not hit the rear of David's car, as Mark Braggs also gets very nicely out of the way. But I expect this to be
in the case of Gerard Rion, that would be an efficient. I don't know, engine. It's listed as engine.
Oh dearie me.
So he blew the engine, yes. Richard is in front.
Only just. And a lot of draft to get that move done, but David actually going around outside, surely not. Okay, looks for the cutback. Almost gets a bit of an overlap, but slots in behind and uses draft once again.
And Richard is very slowly moving to the left. Goes for the inside of the turn, and that makes it so complicated for David Jacks, because there's a rule that you can only change lanes once.
That's a misunderstanding there.
But he's doing it in such a slow motion that he's effectively blocking the whole track.
Indeed, as that was a bit of a misunderstanding with Bruno Chacon. He wanted to leave the outside open for them, while Richard wanted the inside line. As here they come past Simon Watman again, I believe.
No, it was Jason Whittaker.
Okay, my apologies. Colors of those cars are kind of similar.
On the wall? Who was that? Jason. Jason Fitch was that?
Dave
Miller. Dave
Oh,
Miller is
no.
in the pits also?
Yep, Dave Miller unfortunately has retired. As Simon Watman is in the pits for presumably repairs. So that's very unfortunate. Well, then again, considering how close to the limit you need to get on this track to be any kind of fast, it's one of those things that can happen. As David again trying for a move on Richard, but can't find a way past. I can sort of understand why they partly widened the front straight in later years. As David now has a run coming off Curva Grande side by side into the braking zone for Lesmo 1. David actually has an overlap and goes around outside on the braking. Fantastic move.
Nice overtake on the outside there.
Woof, as he almost loses it coming off Lesmo 2.
Oh, the car is acting. Amazing. And there he lost a bit of acceleration because of that tail heavy car, and Richard Coxon is immediately behind him. And he has probably the best run now.
He definitely should have. But he decides to stay behind. As he gets it really loose, getting the on the power as well. Really close to losing it. Maybe the tires are starting to get a bit of a starting to take a bit of a beating here.
We are about to hit midpoint of the race. It's 27 laps we're already into from 55.
I just caught David Jund spinning in Parabolica. Looks like he just about got on the grass on the exit. We might be stuck now.
No apparent damage to the car. Doesn't seem
I think he just went wide and caught the grass a little bit with the left rear.
But that gravel trap is going to hurt a lot. Wow, he's stuck there.
We definitely need to go forward. I don't think he has enough grip in the rear to reverse. Which is unfortunately what has cost him an even more time than he's already cost himself, but it looks like he'll get going now.
Yeah, he has found a way by short of throttle, but he's right now in 14th position.
And that means
Grant very angry now.
Oh, for sure, as Grant Rudol has made his way past Matalacino as he touches the wall. Immediately jinx a little bit, possibly a little bit of more damage, but he's up into 9th and only 3 more places to gain to at least pick up a point. As ahead of him is Ray Riddell and Tiago Canoli in a very close fight. Simon Watman unfortunately picks up a drive-through. Not sure how that is possible around here, but he's been awarded drive-through either way by the stewards. Looks like it could possibly be closer up at Laverton. Janak maybe not, because Janak has pulled away down the straight. As here comes...
Oh, Juha was just spun. Many cars flying past. Thankfully he did not remain in the track. Everybody was able to get by safely. Now being caught up very quickly by Brian Janik, making room for it, but I think that the car is damaged because Juha is really suffering to hold it in track. It's also such a peculiar drive.
We definitely have some damage. That car is veering to the right.
Yeah, he's probably heading for the pits to abandon.
possibly. Depends how much he wants to try and finish with that car, I suppose.
Yeah, he has asked for repairs and he's heading into the pits.
Okay, so possibly a last minute resort to try and solve the issues. Oh, as Richard Coxon steams into Lesmo 1 and touches the wall. He ran wide into the wall, trying to carry too much speed into the corner.
So you have arrived safely into the pits. The car was clearly damaged, but he was able to keep a decent speed without triggering any yellow flags. So he's now gone for a long repair. And let's get back to the head of the race.
That's good. As Grant is gaining on the pair ahead in the form of Ray and Thiago.
Mikula is meanwhile having a very lonely race because he's in no man's land. He's like 10 seconds behind Richard and David Jacks, but he's also the 10 seconds in front of Yves Blasset.
Sounds just like the race he won at Riverside just a couple of weekends ago. Whereas Grant gets very sideways trying to put the power on, putting out the parabolica, and again another twitch. Perilously close to the outside wall. He's definitely lacking some straight line speed, but he's a lot quicker than both Thiago and Ray from Curva Grande down to Desmo 2.
And he's in 9th position, so not very far from the point scoring position, which is exactly what he is looking for to keep the championship alive.
Of course.
Well, Grant has been able, Rai has been able to overtake Thiago Canola anyway.
Yeah, he did it down the front straight, got the draft and went past into Curva Grande. Very nicely done.
We have some reactions in the forum already. David Saber just said, well, we already saw that on screen, that he put the car in the grass, a wheel in the grass, sorry, at Curva Grande, and the car immediately turned it right into the parallel race over. In the case of Gerard, it was apparently shifting error. He said it's stupid edge shifter in the G27, it destroys the center.
Ah.
Yeah, he put the wrong gear, apparently.
I assume from 4th to 3rd instead of 4th to 5th. That's the kind of... I usually have trouble getting that gearing done as well.
Yeah,
it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, of course, in that situation your engine immediately overrevs widely and explodes. In his case, I think that, well, these pistons must be shooting past the moon right now.
It's a bit like... I know in an episode of Top Gear they were doing sort of budget supercars and was driving fittingly Italian supercars, and I believe it was Jeremy Clarkson who was driving a Maserati of some kind, and from the setup it was not running well, and then down many miles later Richard Hammond was right behind him, and you could just see an explosion of the car. There were pieces and debris hitting him everywhere over his bonnet and stuff, and he was saying, "I can't see anything." As Clarkson very fittingly parked it beside the road, and he later found the is it in English? Can't actually remember what it is in English, so give me a moment as I will try to work that out. But in the meantime, the fight between Ray and Thiago is still very close, as now Thiago is ahead again.
Yes, he is, but suffering a lot to keep that position. Ray Vidal is sideways behind him, trying to put the power down. And with that powerful V12, getting close always in the straights. Thiago is one of the new drivers this year. He was in HSO already for some time, but he has been able to finally join us in practice this year. And he has proven that he's a very good driver. In touring cars he did fantastically. And now he's picking Formula 1. He also tried his hand at Cana, and he's doing really well with these cars. Oh, Ray Vidal almost lost it there. And you see the other car just in front, you just want to nail the throttle as soon as possible because you're fearing that you're losing time, and well, that's what happens. In the end you lose too much time because you're half spinning there.
Indeed. And to come back to that story, he held up a piece of his crankshaft that has exploded off the engine onto the road. So it was a fatal and complete failure of his motor.
Well, as you all know, we will be racing next year with the Pro cars, with the BMW M1 Pro cars.
Of
and
course.
you know, this was historically a series where they made the show because the M1 had not been yet homologated. Show with the Formula 1 drivers as a single car cup, so to speak, unofficial, because it wasn't sanctioned by any automobile organization, and they made it so that they could have some publicity for marketing reasons and to put the cars through their paces and be able to develop them. Well, what happened was that the Formula 1 guys, of course, took the cars very lightly. They just wanted the money. They drove absolutely brutally, and in the first race in Zolder, it is well known that the Formula 1 drivers, I think that the name was never given. He destroyed the engine so much that he managed to throw the flywheel out of the car in the middle of a straight because it hit one of the cars that was coming behind him. The guy who was in that car, all of a sudden, when he saw that thing coming through his windshield and find the flywheel of the other car there, he must have thought, my goodness, what is this?
Indeed. As unfortunately, in the meantime, Jason Whitehead and Juha Bols has decided to retire. But that's definitely a very unnerving situation to end up in, I'd expect. Having that kind of piece of debris on the road.
So David Jacks has been able to manage or to get a gap 1.1 seconds to Richard Coxon. Maybe Richard is trying to conserve the tires and letting David have the initiative there.
What do you say that? What do you say that about Richard? He just set his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, but he has done that when he's at a distance from David Jacks. I mean, look at his car now, the Tyrrell. He's so much composed. When he's in the heat of a battle with David Jacks, then he's immediately starting to get sideways and to have to rectify the trajectory and adjust it and make changes and react to what the other car is doing. And the Tyrrell, actually, what it really wants is to be on its own. It's a car that is very quick if you are able to drive it smoothly, as Jackie Stewart did back then.
That's the problem, that it's so lively that it's almost impossible.
Yeah, you need a very fine touch with that car. But because it's so lively, when you're in the heat of a battle, it just seems to be wanting to escape from behind you. Look, if you look right now at Richard Coxon's driving, is so much better than when he was battling with David Jacks, and that's the reason that he has scored his best lap now. because of that distance.
As now David Yates does his fastest lap, which I believe is almost the exact same kind of lap as Richard did just a lap ago. That's very impressive.
They're fighting the distance. Only they are battling with the stopwatch in the hand instead of doing it in the track.
Indeed.
Richard scores a fast lap is his way of saying, hey, look up here, get nervous. And then David Jackson immediately responds, well, where do you think you're going?
Quite. I thought of a very, in terms of the Tyrrell, you need silk gloves and pink slippers to drive that car.
Iron fist and silk gloves.
Indeed. Because I believe it's in the United Sports Car Championship, they've been talking about a specific driver, joking about him using pink bunny slippers while driving because he's so good on the fuel consumption. You see now a lapped car. I believe that's possibly David Junt. After being lapped, he's been struggling since he picked up a bit of damage about 10-15 laps ago. He's been dropping back ever since, unfortunately.
And just to highlight the point, Richard Coxon's last laps have been 126.5, 126.5, 126.5, 126.5. Just thousand second of difference. I mean, he's obviously very comfortable lapping at that speed.
Indeed, as
yeah, in the case of David Jacks, that's been all 126, yes, but with a much wider spread. I mean, he went from 126.8 to a 126.4 and then back, so this means that he is less regular than Richard, even if he's so much quicker.
Indeed, but that's partly down to that Tyrrell as well. I mean, I just can't get away from the fact that that car is extremely difficult to drive. Just the fact that he's up here fighting for the win is a fantastic drive in itself.
Now maybe David Jacks didn't have so much clean exit of the turn because of Mick Chapman.
Definitely looks like Richard is catching up just a little bit.
And David is making his best to go through because
he's very sporting now.
Finding a lap car, yeah, that was very sporting of Mick Chapman, because he knew that if he had been in the middle, in the corner, which is exactly what David Jacks wanted, obviously, then he would have held up a bit Richard Coxon, even if he made a clean move to allow him to pass on the inside or whatever. It's obviously not the same thing. You are always trying to be much more cautious when you are overtaking a lap car. But in the end, Richard has been able to catch up.
Definitely so, and it looks like, yep, I was right about that. There's two wide going down into Lesmo 1 between Lavach and Canola, so Lavach has lost out a little bit of time.
And Richard is close enough to get the slipstream again, which means that he'll be immediately on David Jacks' tail. Yeah, there you go. That's what happens. I mean, while Richard was out of David Jacks' slipstream, he was able to lap as fast, but not to get closer. At one moment, it was either David Jacks made a small mistake or didn't push it so much in that corner. Richard was able to cut back the distance and he got the slipstream, and that was it. Look at that. They are again at it.
Indeed, that was fairly close.
Very nice car control from David Jacks. If you watch carefully how he went through the corner, he didn't want to cut the car that was coming behind Richard in the trajectory, so he had to do the whole corner on the outside, and he did it even quicker than Richard, who had to cut. But even if the spectators might not appreciate it much or not understand it, the thing is that doing that corner on the outside, keeping that clean trajectory and not using the whole road where you are going so quick, I can tell you it's not easy at all.
No, certainly not. But he's making it into an art form in itself. So notice Richard is actually revving out in 5th gear. Ooh, both of them are off in Parabolica.
Oh, and that's a gravel trap. Watch out for Pascal Mikula, who is not that very much far behind.
Oh, and this is
I think, well, David was very lucky to be able to go through in the grass.
Yep, and here comes Mikula past.
Yeah, Richard is now. Oh dear.
As well. So Coxon down to 4th. David, unfortunately for himself, is able to get going.
Richard. And he's now, oh dear, he's quite behind now.
It'll be about 7.2 before he gets to turn 1, I believe. Okay, 7.1 as he makes his way down into Curva Grande.
He's 14 seconds behind David Jacks now. It will be very hard for him to get the difference back and fight for the win.
Definitely in 15 laps, that's a very tall order, that's 1 second a lap, pretty much.
And the thing is that, well, Richard had to spin because he was actually trying to avoid David Jacks. He had to cut completely the throttle, and the rear, the inertia of the heavy rear in this cars make him go on a 180 degree. That's very unfortunate because I don't think it was Richard's fault at all. It was not a driving error, just his reaction to David Jacks getting into trouble.
Indeed, it's a reaction any one of us would have. Try and avoid that kind of accident.
It wasn't either David Jacks' fault. I mean, he was driving on the limit and the car went sideways. It's a bit of a shame that this has deprived us from the nice fight they were having.
Now there's a very close fight in the meantime between Lavac and
the 13.6
Ray, I believe.
Get back a bit. Yes, that's Ray Riddle and Peter Lavac.
Of course, Ray's son Grant ain't that far behind, so
Peter is a bit at a disadvantage here because of the power gradient in the gear.
Certainly so, but the draft helps a lot. Was the fight for 2nd place is heating up as well. Here comes the V12 versus the Cosworth. Matra V12 sounding very nice indeed. I believe Mikula will have to work hard to keep these behind here. And this track, of course, along with La Castle in France, is where the Matra will certainly won't have the biggest advantages.
Oh, and Richard is now only 12 seconds behind. He is cutting down the distance very quickly.
Partly
at the limit now, but
partly that, and I'd sort of expect David to not be quite on the limit here, trying to just cool the tires down a little bit, considering how heated that fight was.
yeah, he's lapping in 1:27. I mean, that's a full second slower than what he had been doing before.
He has about 5 seconds to the cars behind, so...
Yeah, Richard is lapping in low 1:26.
Wow.
That's obviously a full second quicker per lap. He is now having to take out everything that he was holding. up his lead for the end of the race.
Well, here comes Yves Placé up the inside of Pascal Mikola. Looks like Yves should have the position done here as long as he can get the car stopped. And he does very nicely indeed.
10 seconds now, the gap between Richard Coxon and David Jacks.
Wow.
With Yves and Pascal Mikola in the middle.
Of course, and that's probably the biggest issue for Richard in terms of catching David. Along with the fact that they are at equal pace, obviously. Wow! Yves just went round outside into Curva Grande. Round outside of Pascal. And as Dave caught up. Oh no, that's not David, so my apologies. David is further up the road. Also keeping a bit of an eye on the actually a three-way fight now between Grant, Ray and Peter for the last 10 points being position.
And Pascal wants his position back. They are both coming now to Mick Chapman. Let's see how this pans out, because...
And Yves very...
Oh my god. Yeah, Yves has been waiting so as to...
Whoa! That's a bit on the questionable side, I'd say. Looked like that was a move on the braking, but either way, both survived.
Pascal has hit him in the back, the overtaking maneuver. So Yves must maybe be a bit annoyed by that.
Well, here he comes now, trying to look up the inside into Curva Grande again. And Yves again round outside. That's amazing to see. So let's just drop back and see how it's going here. Now Ray ahead of Peter and Grant.
And these two fighting it out is only making Richard Dawson get closer and quicker.
Yep, and now too wide here between Peter and Ray in the meantime. Peter gets up ahead again into 6th place.
Whoa, Pascal Mikola is up to it again, and they both touch the wheel.
Oh, and here he comes again up the inside into Parabolica. Ooh, ooh, dearie me, come on fellas. Keep it sensible.
Close the door on him, and
there goes Pascal. A bit too much power. Nicely saved to get
him. He hasn't hit the wall, but there goes Richard Coxon, who was close enough. That's what he was expecting.
Well, expecting, at least
that's
hoping
what
for.
When you lose momentum here.
Yep. And that's that fight broken up. So let's go back to this fight between Ray, Grant, and Peter, as Ray drops in behind Grant on the braking. So now
this has been a blessing for Richard Coxon, because if he would have found Pascal Mikola and Yves Placé fighting with each other, it would have been much more difficult to overtake.
Definitely.
Now he can take them out one by one.
Indeed. Possibly still catch up to David. He has 5 seconds to gain up to catch up pretty much now. I'd expect.
Amazing recovery.
Oh indeed. That's, I don't know how he does it, but it's a fantastic drive.
He's 10 seconds behind David Jacks still, because David Jacks has been aware of Richard's pace for some laps, and he has sped up now. He has been doing 126.5 and kissing him goodbye. But still, nothing is decided. Anything can happen here.
Of course, Grant for the championship fight, of course, is right behind Peter here, so Grant is looking for that point.
The bullfighters here used to say, The bull is bull till the last hair of the tail. That's something that one famous bullfighter once said, because once the bull had passed by him, okay, he was waving the tail and hit him in the eye with the end of the tail.
Ow.
Almost knocked him out, yeah. He was very dazzled by that, and well, they had to help him because the bull obviously turned around and wanted to get him. So that's something that is said here usually in Spain. Till the last hair of the tail, it's still a bull. It can still fight you, it can still get you, and the races are like that. Until the checkered flag is down, anything can happen.
That's definitely true. And while he was telling us that Grant had a thought about going up the inside of Peter into Curva Grande, thought better of it.
9 seconds now the difference. Richard has been able to back another second. Very impressive.
Oh, indeed. So Richard will surely be wanting at least second to try and open up a gap in the championship, seeing as David can hold him off pace-wise. As here comes Grant on Peter with a big drafting challenge, but stays wide and goes for the cutback. If he can possibly get the power down. Looks like Peter has better grip in the rears. Partly understandable, considering Grant has made his way up from, I believe, 11th or 12th to this position, with a shot at the points, as now he goes round, tries to go round outside. Peter has the inside, but Grant goes round outside and into 6th position for now. So that's one point for him.
Yes.
Ooh, as Peter is on the grass, manages to hold the car together.
The grass is very unforgiving here, because you are at full throttle, and then you have one wheel that is spinning freely in the grass because there is no resistance, and the other one is having bite in the tarmac. What this happens is the same as when a tank turns around. The tanks don't steer. What they do is they break one of the chains of one of the sides, because when with one chain braking and the other pushing, it turns around, and that's exactly what happens to these cars here. The tire that is on the tarmac keeps pushing and turns around the car against the wall immediately.
That's definitely true. Ooh, as Grant now made a mistake, that's Peter up the inside and regains the position.
Yeah, as you go up the ladder, you are finding drivers that are harder to beat.
Indeed.
That 6th position is going to cost Grant much more than many of the previous ones.
Definitely so.
There it goes. Pass on the brakes in the outside.
Wow. That's a massive courage to go up there, but here comes Peter up the inside. Ooh, a little bit side tire contact. They are able to survive.
Got the apex well, but Grant was able to block very efficiently the exit of it. Grant's been holding the throttle that fraction of the second on the apex when Peter is already on it, and Peter has to lift a bit, and that allows Grant to then get on the throttle that fraction of a second before Peter Labak and be on the straight quicker.
Ooh, but Peter really late on the brakes into Parabolica.
Oh yes, that passing on the outside is a game that two can play.
Not quite able to do it though.
And Peter is now a Riddle sandwich, because the old Riddle, the big Riddle is now right behind him, coming also for the pass.
but Peter this time gets the position into Curva Grande, goes up into 6th.
Meanwhile, Richard Coxon is already down to 8 seconds from the leader. Though with only 7 laps to go, it will be really hard for him. Actually, it will be hard even to catch up with Yves Placer, who is flying right now, keeping a gap 4 seconds with him.
Yeah, I thought about that, but it doesn't look like he's caught up much, if anything, to Yves either, so he's definitely making use of that V12 very well in the later stages of this race. And here comes Grant with a massive draft on Peter, down towards Parabolica.
Well, if there's a position that Grant really wants right now, is this one, because he won't be able to catch up with Peter Lava in any case, but there is a point for him here that could very well help him stay alive in the championship, especially now that Richard Coxon is in 3rd position and is not going to score as many points as if he was first.
Indeed, and here comes around outside, going down towards Curva Grande. When again around outside he goes. Well, Peter with a great run coming off. Just about maybe going up the inside here. If he's really brave, he goes up the inside. Wow. Oh, but he ain't able to do so. He's up on the cobblestones. Loses a bit of drive. Tries to get a good run off here. Definitely wants to always Grant. Does everything he can to break the draft. Don't think he was able to do so though. Peter should have the opportunity.
50 laps of 55 right now, 5 to go.
This race has gone past very quickly. Many thanks to some great battles to watch. This is definitely one of the...
That is going to suffer till the very last moment, I can tell you, because even if he was able to shake off a bit Peter Lava. Yes. Even if he was able to shake off Peter Lavac, there's always right behind.
When Peter for the cutback. Sorry, go ahead.
So Peter is always going to have the slipstream to get back to him.
Indeed, and Peter goes up the inside again. Not quite able to do it. Oh, very slow off the corner is Grant, but Peter not quite able to get up the inside. This is really close. Peter now right behind Grant, so this could be the opportunity Peter needs.
No, it's Pascal Mikula is out. Where is Pascal Mikula?
Oh, he's out indeed. He's down in 12th.
Yes, because that's what confused me. Because I was looking at the positions and I said, "Well, so that's even better for Grant Riddle."
Oh, indeed, he's now in 6th.
If he can get a 5th position, then with Richard Earth, that would keep him very well alive.
Wow. Father and son having a bit of an argument there about who should be in front. That was very close to a massive crash for Grant and out of the race, but he was able to stay off the wall. Ray trying to find a way up either side of Grant, not able to get there, but Grant almost hit the wall. The last time Ray went up behind him, so I'm not sure if they touched or not, but thankfully both of them survived. Thiago Canola ain't that far behind either, so he could still have a shot with this fight as well.
Yeah, if they keep hindering each other, that could very well happen. Richard Coxon now 6 seconds from the lead. That's going to hurt. Tantalizingly close, but not enough.
Indeed, and that's possibly David feeling that he only needs to do a certain pace now. As Grant now goes up into 5th. But Placé is still in between, so... Well, still 4 seconds, so...
about to overtake Peter Labak. No, thankfully for Peter Labak, he has the slipstream from Grant Riddle.
Oh, and now he goes up inside of Grant instead.
Yep.
Grant, of course, around outside, he holds on. Peter trying for a good run, he should get a decent run of Grande here.
In the grass.
Roger is still close enough to go up into less than 1. When he tries, doesn't go quite far enough up there to come out to track position, so back behind he drops, and now looking, oh, he makes a bit of a mistake, just a bit too sideways. This could be Grant's chance to pull away.
And Rai was close.
Now side by side.
He probably had to cut off a bit, but still he seems to have the run on Peter Labak. Ah, side by side there. Oof. My goodness. There he was able to finally make it stick. That's BRM power.
Yep. I'd feel really bad for Peter if he loses the points here. He's been doing such a great job staying ahead. And here he goes, just looks up out on the outside into Curva Grande. And he goes round outside. When really sideways, as wing is taken off his already diminished rear wing. And I don't think Ray will be able to look up the inside here. He's in a heavier car, and Peter has proven to be very late on the brakes, and it looks like he is catching up just a little bit to Grant possibly. So maybe still in with a slight chance of snatching that 5th position, as now Thiago's right behind him as well. As Ray cuts Thiago off a little bit, but Ray looks to be quicker with the draft, so stays in front. Now 2 seconds between 1st and 2nd, but then again you only need 1,000th of a second.
Attention, because Yves Placé is just a single second behind David Jacks.
Only a second now.
He 1.8 seconds, for whatever reason he has been able to speed up, whereas Richard Coxon is suddenly 30 seconds behind.
Also, Richard must have made a mistake somewhere.
Michal Janak is 40 seconds behind. It's a bit weird.
Richard definitely doesn't want to lose anymore.
Anyways, Yves Placé is getting closer, but I believe that this is the last lap for David Jacks.
It definitely looks so.
And he wins the race.
With a fantastic drive. So David Yates wins. Yves Placé gets 2nd for Matra. That's a fantastic finish for the French outfit. 3rd will be Richard Coxon with a slightly disappointing, I'd expect, 3rd place. With the Tyrrell really trying to get the rear end to grip coming through Parabolica. It's possibly a mistake due to tyre wear.
Thiago Canola has overtaken Ray Riddle.
Oh wow.
And he's now going for Peter Labak.
So Michal Janak will get 4th, Grant Riddle looks to get 5th, but here we have 6th.
Thiago Canola, look at that. He's there on the on the apron, was he? Whoa, and he's going to pass Peter Labak. Now, Peter has been demoted to 7th without points.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
That's really unfortunate for
unexpected turn
Peter.
of events. Someone stole the wallet from him in the last moment.
Oh, indeed. As Grant Vidal indeed gets 5th. Thiago snatches the wallet, the pipe, everything from Peter Lavac, who only gets 7th. Unfortunately, no points for him tonight. Ray Vidal gets 8th. 9th will be Brian Yannick. Running out the top 10 looks to be Timo Vermeersch. If he can just stay on the track for the last bit, and maybe it's already finished actually. 11th looks to be David Junt. 12th for Mick Chapman. 13th for Mark Cracks in the McLaren. A nice job from him. 14th for Bruno Chacon. 15th for Martin Lassina. Slightly disappointing race for him possibly.
I think that's already a retired car with suspension damage. I don't know if he's scoring, but it's 14 finishers, I believe.
No, unfortunately he retired indeed. So our retirees were Martin Lassina, Pascal Mikola, Juha Boos, Simon Watman, Jason Whited, Dave Miller, Gerard Rion, Steve Parker, David Saber, Jason White, Jason Fitch, and Richard Wilkes. And wow, what a race that turned out to be.
Certainly very impressive. It was very fun to watch.
Definitely so. And a lot of close racing and some great drafting action as well. Good preparation for next year. Where we will see more drafting action. As apologies for that loud music as I head out to the game. Now let's see, let's wait just a few moments to see if we are joined by anyone, but in the meantime let's look at what is coming up as well for HSO in the coming week, where we have, or coming weeks. So let's see, we have in 2 weeks time, we have the 5th round of the 1985 New Zealand Touring Car Championship. With the Lady Wigram Trophy, which will be sent from Powerbuilt Raceway, also known as Ruapunja Park, which will be a very interesting race indeed, and with a chance for, I would guess, all the cars to have a very good equal chance at a win. And then after that we have round 10 of 11 of the F1 1971 Championship with the Canadian Grand Prix, which will be broadcast by Pascal Mikola, who, just like me, can't stand some tracks, and for him that's the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. Give me a moment as I just look that up.
That's also a very fast and dangerous track. It's also beautiful. The American leg of the championship has some of the best racetracks, I believe, that Formula One has been around.
Depends what side of the fence you're on.
Modern Formula Ones wouldn't be able to race there, but then Mosport and Watkins Glen were two really beautiful tracks.
Definitely so, but it's a very difficult track to drive, I must say.
Oh
with
yeah, it is.
all the elevation and difficult braking zones and all that.
That's right. But the scenery and the style of the track with all those elevation changes, it's awesome to watch. So I hope that our viewers will be enjoying them a lot.
Hopefully
Anyways,
they will.
I have to say goodbye now because it's a bit late here for me. I have to go have supper. Thank you all for staying here with us in the broadcast and following us. Always appreciate them. Thank you, Jonatan, for broadcasting and having me in the booth with you. And see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining me and for enjoying broadcasting this with me. Have a nice supper.
Bye.
User disconnected from your channel.
So that's Alberto Ibañez leaving us here, and seeming as we have no one joining us for a post-race chat. Thank you very much for everyone for tuning in to this race, and all our racers, of course, for putting on a great show on track. And thank you also, Alberto, for joining me in the booth, and Jason and Richard for hosting this championship, which is a great one to be part of. Yeah, see you all in 2 weeks' time for round 5 of the New Zealand Touring Car Championship. But until then, take care and have a great couple of weeks. Good night, everyone.